So today we're going to talk about the harsh reason why men over 40 use women. And I'm going to give you 7 signs. So bear with me for a moment. So what does it mean to be used? I mean, we can look at it from a variety of different ways. Many women look at it sometimes when a man seeks money from a woman, that is being used, or a man seeks physical intimacy from a woman being used. The way I'm going to approach this today are the men who claim they want a relationship, men that seem that they want a relationship, but they actually flake out from that significant relationship of commitment. Because this seems to happen frequently. A lot of people enter into relationships, they give a relationship a chance, but somehow it doesn't work out. And that feeling that occurs when it doesn't work out is that this person wasted my time. In fact, they've effectively used me because we weren't on the same page. And sadly, this happens to a lot of people. So the harsh reason why men use women is because I think, particularly for the men over 40, and the reason why I want to shift this conversation for the men over 40 is because men in their 20s and 30s, if they're genuinely seeking a relationship, they are oftentimes looking for the mother of their children. So when they actually pick a person in their life, they are looking for someone to make babies with and raise a family. Those are the men, at least, that are desirous of marriage and children and a commitment. So they operate differently. See, when we're in our 40s, 50s, and even 60s and 70s, many people in this age bracket are divorced with children. Certainly we do now with, we have widowers and widowed people that make up this population, but the majority are divorced. And what happens when people are divorced, particularly men, is they enter into the dating marketplace winging it. And what I mean to say is their sense of what they desire is very uncertain. It's confused because, you see, when you marry someone to make babies and raise a family with, you're thinking of it in the context of teamwork. I'm going to repeat that, in the context of teamwork. And what happens when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s, and most likely divorced, your idea of teamwork to some degree gets shattered. But more importantly, many men have no clue what teamwork is, hence why they're winging it. You see, if you want to kind of look at levels of commitment, okay, we're going to look at levels of commitment. Level 1 in a romantic relationship, which is what people call themselves boyfriend and girlfriend, is usually the agreement to monogamy and exclusivity. That's right, monogamy and exclusivity. And level 2 begins the merging of lives with one another. It's the integration of lives with one another, and it's teamwork in your lives. You operate as a team with one another. Say, for example, 2 people live together. Hey, they have separate chores that they might be responsible for. They operate as a team. But let's talk about those that aren't living together. Maybe your teamwork is, hey, I need a ride to the airport at 4 a.m. Will you take me? Hey, I'm running late and I've got a big meeting in the morning. Can you pick up my dry cleaning for me? Those are examples of operating as teammates with one another. The problem with our current dating environment, it's so hyper focused on the entertainment one another, all the good feel good aspects of attraction, that it doesn't contemplate the real character of our person, doesn't really contemplate their capacity to be in a relationship and their capacity to be teammates. And what did I write here? True teammate is never reached the minute a relate. Oh, and what happens is once a relationship becomes real, please forgive me because everybody's focused on let's have a good time. Let's focus on having a good time. You know what? Let's just take it slow and have a good time. Okay. Let's just live in the moment. This is the kind of crap that I hear as a dating coach from the women that are out there speaking to the men. They're all focused about living in the moment, having a good time. And the minute it becomes real, where true teamwork occurs, oftentimes men fold and fail. And when these things happen, you can feel like you've been used. In other words, see, think about it. The minute you start investing your heart to someone, the minute you start investing your body to someone, to some degree, what was the line in Vanilla Sky? Cameron Diaz says something to Tom Cruise in the movie Vanilla Sky, is the minute you give your body, you're making a promise for the future to some degree. Well, the minute we engage in intimacy, I mean, sharing emotional intimacy, sharing physical intimacy, we're making a de facto promise that there is going to be something in the future. Let me repeat that this is so critically important. Everybody, please, I want you to think about the minute you emotionally invest in someone, the minute you're vulnerable with someone, the minute you're physically engaged with someone, it's as if we're making a promise for the future. You know, and being vulnerable to another human being is an investment of your heart. And so we sometimes very cavalierly invest in people, and we feel used when they decide that this doesn't work for them. See, I've come to the conclusion now. I'm pausing for a moment. I've come to the conclusion now that emotional investment in someone is a radically gigantic, huge thing that we should covet. I'm going to raise my hand. I have in the past cavalierly entered in relationships. And I didn't learn this lesson until this most recent relationship for mine ended. Didn't end recently. It ended a year ago. But I recently came to the conclusion that being vulnerable with another human being is a gigantic investment. It's like going to the bank and taking out $1 million and saying, I'm going to buy this piece of property. And the problem is we haven't done the inspection report on the property. And I'm sorry to laugh using that analogy. But what if it's a dump? What if it's a fixer-upper? What if it's a thing you got to tear down? And my point being is, sadly, we kind of cavalierly date. And because our current dating dynamic, our current dating marketplace is so dysfunctional because human beings don't actually really know how to get to know another human being. I'm going to repeat that. To actually get to know another human beings, I'm going to share with you, most every one of you who are watching this are clueless because we've operated as a species that chemistry equals relationship success without really taking into account. Let me pull out my relationship iceberg, and please forgive the glare. Chemistry is on the top of the water, above the waterline, but shared values, lifestyle blendability, and emotional maturity. And emotional maturity you can't figure out until you've spent a significant amount of face-to-face time with someone. But Jonathan, I'm in a long-distance relationship and we can't spend a lot of time together. Folks, let me just tell you something. Unless you're interacting with each other on a regular basis, you can't recognize the teamwork. You can't even build teamwork with another human being. I was briefly watching 90 Day, before the 90 days, 90 Day Fiance. And I'm looking at these people that get on an airplane and travel thousands and thousands of miles to someone that they've been interacting with on the internet for 8 months. And this one woman was on a plane. She didn't even know if the guy was going to show up. And then when they did, the chemistry was mediocre. She's dropped thousands and thousands of dollars on a complete stranger. Look at our current dating dynamic. And they think they know each other. And then now that they're even briefly spending a little bit of time with them, they realize, oh my God, they operate so differently. You see, the reality is, as I said, the 3 levels of commitment. Level 1 is monogamy and exclusivity. Level 2 is teamwork. And teamwork is where we build trust with another human being. You know, I think the problem is we overvalue physical intimacy and we undervalue truly what it takes to connect with another human being. When I say we undervalue it, we don't place it as in well, first off, there's almost a lack of consciousness in this area, because what does it take to build trust with another human being? What does it take to build trust? We build trust through teamwork. We build trust through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills both in our personal and our professional life, intimacy, life, the 5 love languages, emotional and physical intimacy. That's how we build trust with another human being. So we've talked about being used, and what I mean by being used, and the harsh reality is most guys are clueless when they're in midlife, because they're not committed to commitment. They're just committed to, if we have a good time, maybe we'll see how it goes. Let me repeat that. If we have a good time, let's see where it goes. Let me repeat that. If we have a good time, let's see where we go. Instead of, if I'm committed to commitment, I'm evaluating you as to whether or not you are a person I can build a life with. Because that third level of commitment is all in. After you've integrated, you've merged, you've operated at teammate levels with one another. Because once you're all in, you're saying, hey, I want to take this till the end of the train. So what are the signs you're going to get used? Look, at the first one is most obvious. Your time together is mostly based on sex. You've seen this happen before. Sadly, many of you will see this again. Your time together is mostly about sex. Yeah, if you're into only sex, then you're not being used. But if you want something more than that, pay attention to what you're doing together, okay? That's the first sign. Your time together is mostly sex, which again is rather obvious. Number 2, you've heard the phrase, men love the hunt, men love the chase. Well, what do you think we're hunting and chasing? Do you think men are hunting? I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. I'm going to take my bow and arrow and I'm going to shoot that bow and arrow because I want a relationship. Come on, folks. You've been watching my channel long enough. We hunt sex. The thing is, how you know you're possibly a sign you'll get used is after the hunt phase. He doesn't ask about you much anymore. He doesn't ask about who you are. He's not trying to investigate who you are as a person. He's not curious about you. I've often said it takes lifetimes to get to know your soulmate. It takes lifetimes to get to know your soulmate. People that have appreciative inquiry about how you think, how you feel. A person that asks about you after the fun, or a person that stops asking about you after they've got you. That's a sign you'll probably get used. The third sign is he doesn't open up to you. See, we can open up in the beginning. Like you might hear a lot of men in the beginning, oh my God, you're so amazing. You're so wonderful. I feel so good with you. I could see spending the rest of my life with you. That's not opening up. See, a person that opens up, a person who avoids personal questions, he avoids maybe even talking on the phone with you. He avoids being vulnerable. People that avoid opening up to you, avoid being vulnerable, don't really want to speak up. Not everybody, listen, I mean, I can understand, listen, if your relationship is progressing really awesome and you know it's really awesome, guy doesn't want to talk on the phone. I mean, sometimes I get burnt out and tired of talking on the phone, but I've established deep trust with someone. But if he avoids talking on the phone, that could be a sign that you might end up getting used. Now, the fourth sign is you never meet his family or friends. He always has excuses. Listen, when do I think two people should meet family and friends? I would say by the time you call each other boyfriend and girlfriend, by the time you have by the way, you shouldn't have physical intimacy with someone unless you either have agreed to monogamy and exclusivity, you've agreed to exploring a relationship together. And when you've agreed to explore a relationship together, when you've agreed to monogamy and exclusivity, I like to call each other boyfriend and girlfriend. Or you could say we've taken each other, we've gotten off the dating apps, okay? But if you've never met his family and friends after physical intimacy, that's a pretty good sign that he's only in it for the short run. Number 5, he doesn't protect you emotionally. And what I mean to say is, you've heard the phrase, men are provider protectors. A man who is committed to commitment, he's actually being protective of your feelings. A man who isn't committed to commitment, who's winging it, who has uncertainty, who wants to take it slow, who wants it casual, he's not going to be protective of your emotions. He's not going to be protective. He might be, protective in the physical sense, but not the emotional sense. Number 6, he doesn't go out of his way to help you. Maybe you're sick. He doesn't come and help you out. Maybe you have a family member sick and you have to go spend time with a family member and you need some support. He doesn't help you. He doesn't go out of his way for you. He only operates when it's convenient. He's always having you come to his home. He doesn't go out of his way to help you in your life. That's a good sign that you're being used by him. And lastly, number 7, he puts off being exclusive and avoids conversations about the future. Folks, I have this belief. If you are 3 months in, 3 months of boyfriend and girlfriend, 3 months of boyfriend and girlfriend, 3 months of after physical intimacy, there is no reason why 2 people can't say, are we exploring this from the long-term perspective or are we just going with the flow? Okay. I think a gentleman who is committed to commitment, he knows within 90 days, he wants to take you off the market. First off, he doesn't want you with anyone else, but he wants to talk about the future. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a plan yet. I mean, it might take another 3 or 6 months of connection with one another, but there are discussions about exclusivity versus avoiding the conversations. When he's avoiding the conversations, that's a pretty good sign that he's in it for the short run. And men who are in it for the short run, you will feel used. And that's what I'm really most concerned about. Men who are in it, men who are committed to commitment, they know within 90 days whether or not they want to explore something significant with you. And they are unafraid to have those serious conversations with you early on. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. If it is, post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all this. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell wherever right there, the notification bell as well. Oh no, that's to subscribe. Also, if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. There's a link to follow me on Instagram. There's a link to get all the books I recommend. And don't forget to check out my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. And also my dating vows are listed below.